The reason I asked
Quite right.
for the explanation was because of the concern raised earlier about knowledge.
Yes. After all, the observer is knowledge.
Yes. I was concerned that study in its proper form was not regarded in the context of our discussion as unprofitable as such.
No, no.
We don't mean that.
We didn't even discuss it.
Exactly.
That's
yes, fine.
so obvious.
Yes, yes, do go ahead. Well, yes, it is obvious in terms of our discussion, but the thing that concerns me is that so ingrained is the notion that, for instance, in the story I told about when I came to hear you years ago, I began doing analysis while I was listening to your words, and consequently, I could hardly end up with anything qualitatively differently from what I came in with. But you see, I didn't see that at the time.
No.
And in our videotaping, our conversations here, this will be listened to, and when we say, yes, about knowledge, this is obvious, in the context of our conversation it is. But then I'm thinking
not only in the context of our conversation, it is
as such.
His life is that.
Exactly, exactly. I couldn't agree. But immediately I flashed back to my own behavior. And I know that I was not alone in that, because I listened to other conversations regarding it at the time. But yes, I see what you mean now about analysis as such. It seems to me very clear.
The analyzer and the analyzed.
Precisely.
The analyzer is the analyzed. And also analysis implies time, duration. I must take time to unearth, to uncover, and it take me the rest of my life.
This is a confusion we have about death too, death's relation to time.
That's right. I'm coming to that.
Yes, of course. Yes. Please do. Please.
Yes. So, the mind perceiving discards analysis completely. Not because it's not profitable, not because it doesn't get me what I want, but I see the impossibility of emptying the consciousness of its content if the mind approaches through that channel. Analyzer, time, and the utter futility at the end of 40 years. I'm still analyzing.
And the content of my consciousness is not qualitatively changed.
Changed at all.
No, it's become intensified in its corruption.
That's right.
Yes.
So, but the mind must see its content, must be totally aware of it, not fragments of it. How is that to be done? You follow, sir?
Yes, I do.
Because it's very important in relation to death. Because content of my consciousness is consciousness. That consciousness is me, my ego, my saying I and you, we and they. Whether they the communists, they the Catholic, they the Protestant or the Hindu, they and we. So it is very important to find out that it's possible to empty consciousness of its content, which means the dying to the me. You follow?
Yes, I do.
Because that is the me.
This is where the terror starts.
That's where the terror starts.
Precisely. There's the intuition that if I die to the content of this consciousness, that I am wiped out.
Yes. So I, who have worked, who have lived a righteous life or unrighteous life, who have done so much mischief or good, I have struggled to better myself. I've been so kind, so gentle, so angry, so bitter. And when you say And you say, empty your consciousness means you're asking me to die to all that. So, you are touching at the very root of fear.
Yes, exactly.
At the root of terror, of not being. And, yes, that's it, sir. And I want to immortalize that me.
Yes.
I do it through books, writing a book and say, famous book. Or I paint. Or through paint, through works, through good acts, through building this or that, I immortalize myself.
This has very pernicious effects within the family.
Oh!
Because we must have a son
Oh!
in order to
Carry on.
immortalize the name in time.
Therefore the family becomes a danger.
Exactly.
So, look what we have done, sir. The ancient Egyptians immortalized themselves, made their life immortal by thinking, carrying on.
Perpetuity.
Perpetuity. And the robbers come and tear it all to pieces. Tutankhamun is merely a mask now, golden mask with a mummy. And so on. So, man has sought immortality through works, through every way to find that which is immortal. That is beyond mortality. Right?
It's a very remarkable thing that the word immortal is a negative.
Not mortal.
Yes. It's not saying what it is.
We're going to find out what it is.
Good.
I mean, you promised this a very, very serious thing. It isn't a plaything between two people who are enjoying discussion. It's a tremendously important thing.
Yes, I was laughing.
Oh, I'm not. I know. I know what you're
at the irony of it. That inherent in the structure of that word, there is a warning. And we just go right through the red light.
Right.
Yes. Please go on.
So, what is immortality? Not the book.
Oh no.
Not the painting which I have done. Not the going to the moon and putting some idiotic flag up there. Not living a righteous life. Or not living a righteous life. So what is immortality? The cathedrals are beautiful. Marvelous cathedrals. In stone. Earthquake comes, gone. You build, you carve out of marble a marvelous thing of Michelangelo. Earthquake, fire, destroyed. Some lunatic comes home with a hammer and breaks it up. So, it is in none of those. Right?
Right.
Because that is capable of being destroyed. Every statue becomes a dead thing. Every poem, every painting. So what? Then one asks, what is immortality? It's not in the building. Just see it, sir. It's not in the cathedral. It's not in the savior which you have invented, which thought has invented. Not in the gods that man has created out of his own image. Then what is immortality? Because that is related to consciousness and to death. Unless I find that out, death is a terror.
Of course.